Lesson 1-4, literal equations and formulas. Okay, so uh, these are all basically formula questions, okay? So the first one is this. Move it right here. Jeanette wants to calculate the time it takes to earn a certain amount of money or a certain amount of interest on a principal amount in an investment with a simple interest. What equation can she use? So the first thing you need to know is, what does simple interest even mean? So there's bank accounts that you can earn money off of. So that's the interest. So the interest I'll label as I. Okay, so that's the interest. And the way you calculate interest is you have to put in money into an account. We call that the principal, P. You multiply that by the interest rate, which is usually a percentage. And then you have to let that sit there for a certain amount of time. So when you go to a bank, how much money are you going to put in? What is the interest rate and how long is that account open for? That'll calculate the interest rate for this problem, okay? So she wants to know, for a certain amount of interest, right? She wants to calculate the time it takes to earn that certain amount of interest. So here's a problem right now. Right now, this equation is set equal to I. So when I plug in numbers, it's going to give me the answer for I. She wants to find out how much time it takes. So this formula, which you can also just write like this, we need to change it. We need to set it equal to time. So we want the letter T by itself. We want that T by itself, which means these letters have to go. So what are these letters doing to T? Well, they're both multiplying T. So if you want to cancel them out, inverse operation says to divide. And yes, I'm dividing them both at the same time. Because what happens is the principal will cancel out and the interest rate will cancel out, so the letters will be gone. But remember, this is still an equation, so you have to follow the rules of an equation. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So you divide this side by PR. So now your answer is the interest rate divided by the principal and the interest amount divided by the principal and the interest rate now equals time. So whatever I'm solving for, I want to leave that one behind. I want to leave the T alone. I wanted it to stay there, isolated, the only thing there. So I canceled out the other ones, and that's how I got the answer. And that's it for that one. Next question. Let me close this. It's done. Number 2. Let's move this down too. All right. So now for this question, it's asking, Sarah is going to the store that is 2.5 miles away. She only has 15 minutes to get there before it closes, or before they close. What is the average speed? What average speed must she ride to get to the store before they close? Okay, so this is actually going back to an old formula for us, guys. This is going back to the distance equals the rate times the time. Now, we used this before in another problem. If you guys remember, we used it when we were doing going to someone's house and trying to figure that out. But here, they're asking us to figure out the average speed. So the average rate of speed is R. So they want us to solve for R. So we want this letter by itself. So that means we want to cancel out the T, the time. So again, these two are multiplying, so we're going to divide both sides by T. All right. The T cancels out here, and now what's left is the R, distance divided by time. So to calculate the average rate of speed, I need the distance divided by time. So let's take these numbers. So in this problem, it says the distance is 2.5 miles away. 2.5. Okay? She only has 15 minutes. So 15 minutes. So we have miles over minutes. Then I divide this. So I'll take out my calculator. So give me a second. 2.5 divided by 15. Ooh, 0.1. I'm going to round that. I'm going to say 0.17. 0.17. Or as a fraction, 1 over 6. So let me write those down. So my answer is 1 over 6 miles a minute. Or another way to write it as a decimal, 0.17 approximately miles per minute. Okay, so let's explain our answer here. So to talk about her speed, miles per minute, 1 mile in 6 minutes. 1 mile in 6 minutes. That's how fast she needs to be going. 1 mile every 6 minutes. Or 0.17 miles a minute. Okay, so that's how fast she has to go. So most of you probably put this answer. Now remember the units, miles per minute. This is very important. If you're going to use decimals, to make sure you identify what this number means, miles per minute. Okay, when you're doing a fraction, it's kind of already labeled for you. The miles was on top, the minutes was on bottom, so that's fine. Okay, but units are very important when it comes to these problems. All right, next. Number 3. Let me turn the page. All right. Oh, where'd it go? There it goes. Okay, number 3. A worker at a framing store, or at a framing store, is making a rectangular frame. Okay, let me draw this. So there's a rectangular frame. Okay, he knows the perimeter is 144 inches. So the entire distance around, this way, this way, this way, and this way, the perimeter is 144. The length is 40 inches. So length and width, the length is 40 inches. Put that inches. Determine the width. Okay. So what you need here to solve this problem is a formula. So to find perimeter, usually what you do is you take the length plus the width plus the width. Normally that's what you have to do. Sorry, I know my W's I write like this. I don't know why, I think because cursive maybe. But that's normally the formula. Another way to write this, since I have two L's, I can do perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. Now, this is my formula. Now I have things I can plug in. For example, I know the perimeter is 144. So let me rewrite this with the 144. So 144 equals 2L. Now length is the 40 plus 2W. 2W. Okay, so this is what I have. Now, right now, I can just start solving this. I can multiply this. This is 80. 2 times 40 is 80. So I get 144 equals 80 plus 2W. Okay, so let me move this up. So guys, at this point, you would just use inverse operations. I would ask you to use inverse operations to solve this. In the book, what they actually wanted you to do is they wanted you to rewrite this problem to make it equal to W. So in the book, you'll see this. They move this formula around. So let me rewrite it to show you. Okay. So the first thing they would do is they would subtract 2L minus 2L from both sides. 2L's cancel out. You would have perimeter minus 2L equals 2W. The W is still not by itself, so you can divide it by 2 and divide everything by 2. Everything needs to be divided by 2. So what you can do is you can put 2 underneath each number, or you can just put the entire expression, that entire thing, divided by 2 like that. The 2's cancel out. So your formula to find the width, okay, to find the width, P minus 2L divided by 2. And this is the way the book did it. The book uses this formula to solve for it. And the way you would solve it here is you would plug in the same numbers. So we would plug in, to find W, 80 minus, I'm sorry, I messed up. That's not, perimeter wasn't 80. I apologize. Sorry. The perimeter was 144. 2L, this is 40. So when you plug in 40, you get 80 minus 80 divided by 2. And then you can put that in your calculator and it would solve. You can put that in your calculator and solve. Okay? Let's move on to the last question. You guys can do that on your own. Number 4. Now number 4 is another formula, but this formula is for temperature. So according to Teal's bread recipe, he should make bread at 109 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. His oven measures temperatures in Fahrenheit, right? So here in the US we use Fahrenheit. In other countries like in Europe, they use Celsius for temperature. So to use it correctly, we have to change 190 Celsius to Fahrenheit. So we take the formula that they give you. The formula that they give us is Celsius equals 5/9 F minus 32. Okay, so we need to rewrite this formula. We're not solving for Celsius, we need the F, we need Fahrenheit. So what are the things we have to get rid of? Well, this fraction has to get rid of first. I can't move the 32. The 32 would be easy to do first, but the problem is the parentheses. I can't move a number that's inside the parentheses. I gotta do this part first. So let's review how you get rid of a fraction, ladies and gentlemen. The way you get rid of a fraction is something called the reciprocal. So the reciprocal means you take this fraction and you multiply it. But you're going to multiply it by the opposite fraction. In this case, 9/5. Sorry, I know that's really close together. But if I multiply it times the reciprocal, 9/5, you get 45/45. That would cancel out. The 9 and the 5 cancel out. But now you'd have to multiply 9/5 times Celsius as well. So you get this. 9/5C equals, that's gone, F minus 32. What happened to my parentheses? Well, now that there's no number in front, you don't need them. You don't need them. All right, now we can get rid of the 32. Now that the parentheses are gone, the opposite of subtracting 32 is adding 32 to both sides. 32. 32's cancel out. Okay, here's what my formula would be. 9/5C plus 32. Now I can keep the F over here. I'm just going to write it on this side. It doesn't actually matter where you put it. The formula is equal to, for Fahrenheit, 9/5C plus 32. Now, in this problem, they give you the number for C. They give you 190. So we're going to take this problem. Let me get rid of this thing now that we don't need it anymore. We're going to take the 190 and we're going to plug it in. Okay, so to find Fahrenheit, I'm plugging in 190 for C. That was the temperature in Celsius. And I'll just use my calculator. So let me open up Desmos again. Over here. We can do this all at once. That's the beauty of this calculator. So I'll start with the fraction. 9/5. Okay, times 190. Okay, then add 32. So the temperature should be, for this, in Fahrenheit, 374 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the answer. And that's it.